Hey there, sports fans. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. Welcome to the 10 yards back review of round 24 of the Betfred Super League 2025. And what a round it was. Let's have a look at how we shaped up fixtures-wise. So, it was a bit of a weird weekend for me. Friday Night Lights was good, wasn't it? Good Friday. We saw the showdown on Craven Street, Saints versus Hull KR, wrestling it out right until the death. Friday night also saw the the slippery Salford Red Devils decimate the wankiest Warrington team we've seen in a good while on home soil at the Halliwell Jones. So a couple of good ones there. Rest of the weekend was kind of just a bit of a demonstration, wasn't it, really? Everyone kind of won that was supposed to win, though maybe not everyone that I thought was going to win. The weekend itself had 39 tries, which doesn't really put it kind of middle of the table. I think 237 points, again, kind of mid-table. Round 24 does top the charts for number of penalties kicked, not conceded, kicked, and the number of yellow cards given up there at 6 yellow cards and 9 penalties kicked across the weekend. I'm not celebrating it, I'm just telling you the facts. So let's get into what I thought of the fixtures. First up, just a quick overlook. I mean, Leigh, Castleford, Hull KR, Saints, Warrington, Salford, and then that Saturday exhibition of rugby, Hull FC versus Leeds, Wakefield, Huddersfield, Catalans, Wigan. Couple of games there that could have gone better, I thought, for some sides. But let's jump in with what I thought was going to happen in this Leigh versus Castleford game. So I thought we were going to say about 26-6. Leigh to win sort of convincingly. But Castleford pouring up a good fight. What we saw was 20 points shy of that. It was 46-6, 8 tries for the Leigh Leopards against Castleford's solo try. I said last week that I think that Leigh need to use this game as an opportunity to kind of try stuff, get back in the swing of things, get Ipape running from dummy half again, get Lamb throwing it out to the wings in assists, get bloody Lou crashing down the middle and New crashing down the wing, confusing. And that's kind of what they did, really, isn't it? It was a real good show, really. First off, I thought, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Castleford are the ones we should be looking to this season who are actually ruining the league. They've just given up. Chris Chester, I think, after this game even said, yeah, you know, me and the lads, we just want it to end, really, which does not instill confidence in anyone. The fans, the players. I mean, the fans probably feel fucking stupid for showing up to this thing if the players just want it to end. But Castleford aside, let's look at Leigh, because there are some good points here. Now, last week I mentioned that Catalans, when they played Castleford, Theophage smelled blood in the water down that left wing where Wallace was playing at that point during that game. And he came on during this game too. Well, Leigh scored a try there on 6, 19, 52, 56 and 74 minutes. Now, one of those tries, I think the 56 minutes was actually scored under the sticks, but it was made on the left wing. It's just a massive hole. They need to sort it out next year because it doesn't seem like they want to do anything this year, do the Tigers. But I think if you were to sum this up, Leigh versus Castleford, I'm not going to go on too long about this. Leigh had massive cohesion. So Lachlan Lamb, who leads the league in try assists, got 3 this game, I think, and scored a try himself. Leigh had nothing. Even the try they scored, Tex Hoy's try right at the end there, even that was a solo effort. So they had nothing. The cohesion wasn't there. And I think for Leigh, that's a good sign. They're putting stuff on. They're trying stuff out. They're getting over the line as a team rather than as a solo effort. And that's what we need from Leigh, because Coming up, I'm not sure. I think they got Warrington this week. Whatever. Next week, Saints, and I don't know who they close out the league with, but there's a couple of tasty fixtures in there. That cohesion could really get tested out, perfected, just in time for the playoffs, which they look comfortably like they're going to win. All right, 46-6, the Leopards. Anyone surprised? I don't think so. Okay, over to Craven Park, the Battle of Craven Street. Which, by the way, I went to this game. It was the first time I've ever been to Hull KR, and I was a bit disappointed to see that Craven Street seems to have sort of been taken down for the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to squeeze more people in there. This was a record crowd for Hull KR, I'm told. But yeah, I was a bit disappointed. Craven Street was kind of just two hot dog stands in a corner of the stadium. I was bit disappointed, to be honest. The place I was getting my concessions from looked like a school canteen, but that's okay. That's the ground. The game itself, I thought was entertaining. It's the kind of game that I like. Now the points on this one was 12 points to 8, 4 points the difference, 1 try apiece, 1 conversion apiece. KR kicking 4 penalties, Saints just kicking the 1, I think. Well, looking at my stats here. The Robins won this game in the same way they've won the other games against Saints in recent memory that they've won. So you can look at the penalties, you can argue about them, you can say, oh, bloody Reece Martin knocked Morgan Knowles out in the first minute, he should have got a red, or the Delaney one. Now, whatever. I think, to be honest, it's going to be an unpopular opinion between Saints fans. I think that the Reece Martin yellow card at first, it was a yellow because he made contact with the head. There wasn't really any mitigation, so, whatever. Was it a red? Was it not a red? I don't know. But I don't think that Reece Martin was actually the one that knocked him out. I think it was the ball. I think because he was carrying the ball really close into his chest and he sort of landed on it. I think that was sort of what did the damage there on Knowles. But it doesn't matter because he probably wouldn't have done it if Martin and Nicole cocked him anyway. Saints get a penalty. Great. Go to the other end of the field. The Robins get a penalty from the Delaney incident, which I think probably was just a yellow as well because it was kind of clumsy, wasn't it? I forget which player it was actually on now. Doesn't matter because they didn't go off. They came back on. It was kind of just clumsy. He sort of hit him with this part of his arm. It wasn't the shoulder, but look, he keeps doing it. So he keeps getting pulled. And this is where I'm not a huge fan of these discipline points that they're giving out that kind of accrue over the season. But Delaney's missing on Friday now for a massive match because he's done this a couple of times. And to be fair, I think, all right, fucking pack it in. Will you stop doing this stupid stuff, this stupid clumsy stuff? Wrap your arms, tackle them with the inside of your shoulder even. Like, even that would have looked better on the cameras than what happened did. There was another crap penalty, but the ref. Oh, you closed the gate on Mikey Lewis, Joe Batchelor, so that's a penalty. So you can point to this and say, oh, there was just really shitty penalties decided this one. But my point is, okay, you're giving penalties away. People give penalties away all the time. The fact of the matter was, you gave them away in kicking distance because the Robins spent 75 minutes, 70 minutes within kicking distance. So anything that happened would have been within kicking distance. And that is Saints' fault. Whether the ref should have given the penalties or not, it's Saints' fault that the Robins basically spent the whole game camped out on Saints' try line. Now, that made it interesting because both teams played their game very, very well. Saints' defensive game, massively locked down, the Robins basically couldn't do anything. The Robins' game was attack. It was kicking into that corner, and I was basically sat in that corner with Tristan Saylor and Jack Wells, we were basically watching the ball roll into the corner every single time and picking it up on 10, 15, 12, 13 metres. So Hull KR were playing a game of attack in terms of kicking to the corner. Saints were playing a game of defence in terms of locking it down. One of those game plans leads to points more than the other. It's the Hull KR version of events. And the Saints one just doesn't. And we're at the point of the season now where, Saints have got, I think, 91% of Saints' points this season have come against teams that are lower than them in the table because they've been absolutely blowing them away. When it comes to games like this, yeah, defence can win you games, but it doesn't score tries. So you can't just defend. You need something else as well. And, this is kind of a classic Saints fan beating up Saints, but Hull KR played their game perfectly into the corner. I think at one point I saw Tristan Saylor pick the ball up on 30 metres, and that was, whoa, that was different. That was a bad kick for them. All the rest were perfect. The question I'm asking myself here is, or what I think is going to happen is, if these two teams meet again in Hull, I think the same thing happens again in the playoffs. If they meet at Old Trafford, I don't think they'll get away with it. It's a different pitch. Those perfectly measured kicks aren't quite going to come off. So, to be honest, Saints just better hope they don't get Hull KR in the playoffs, because I think they've got them. To be honest, I think they've got that kick weighted perfectly. They know that there's a bit of a wrestle there between Wellesby and Saylor, who's going to get the ball. It'll work again and again and again, and they will win. 12 points to 8. I think both teams can be pretty happy with how they performed. It wasn't a robbery. No one got robbed. Someone won. Someone lost. Fine. Elsewhere, on Friday at the Halliwell Jones, we saw a game that opened exactly as we thought it was going to. So this was, I had this 38-10. We saw a game open exactly as we thought it was going to, with Matt Duffy sneaking through there in 3 minutes, scoring a try that got converted. Oh, God. What a night are we in for here? But what we all forgot is that the Warrington Wolves are genetically bottlers. And this was the biggest bottle I've ever seen in my life. I've seen them bottle big games, fine. Bottling a big game, whatever, it happens to the best of us. Bottling a small game like this against the bottom of the table, when you're a team that's got the captain of the national team in it, pulling the strings, it's got a player in Mark Sneed who, as soon as Salford's financial troubles became apparent, every other team in the league sent Mark Sneed a little text saying, "Hey bud, how you doing? You happy over there at Salford?" Everybody wanted him. Warrington got him. Matt Duffy is there's three super electric players in the league: French, Field, Duffy. He's one of them. People know exactly what he's going to do, but can't stop him. You've got two Thewlisses, great prospects. They've done fantastic things over the season. Both of them slotting in tries. A couple of the tries that these two brothers collectively have scored have been amazing. Massive talents for the future. You've got Ben Curry, super decorated utility man on the national level. You can't not have him in the England side at this point in his career. We've got Walker, who's in contention, in that super contentious spot for England hooker. This is your team, Warrington, and they lost to Salford. Now, some of those players may not have been playing. I don't even know. I haven't looked at the game. But why weren't they playing? You've got nothing to win here. All you can do is show up for your fans at home and destroy a side that has been beaten, bloodied, bruised for 23 weeks, 24 weeks now, and you didn't do it, did you? You just bottled it. What happened, man? Like, the way that these tries were being scored was with evasion and skill as well. It was like they just didn't do it. Like there was the try, Sangare's second try. They put on a huge combination. Like it was offloads, neat little offloads. Every player was where they needed to be. How can you do that with a team that met this morning? I don't understand. Like one of the commentators called it champagne rugby, and I'm sorry, but Salford shouldn't be allowed to play champagne rugby at this point because they've just met. They got team numbers in the 60s, and Warrington have let it happen. And look, I'm beating up Warrington here, and it's because, like I said at the start of the year, we need Warrington. We need them. We needed Salford, and they're going. So we need Warrington. The whole league needs Warrington. Needs a good Warrington. And they're not doing it. Like if Warrington goes shit, who's going to take their place? I don't know, because they've got all the players. So who can take their place? Not many teams. So 25-12, well done, Salford, is what I should say. But Jesus, Warrington, pull it together, man. Pull it together. And now they're kind of standing by their Sam Burgess decision because they have to, because everyone questioned it, and now it looks like the questions were right to be asked, and now they're sticking by it. So he's going to be there next year, unless he leaves. Bit of a rant there. Sorry. Let's go to Saturday. Let's go to Saturday afternoon, the start of the Festival of Rugby over in Hull. Hull's least favourite place to play, the MKM Stadium in Hull. How weird is this season been for Hull? I had this at 18-28. It was 34-0 to Leeds. I mean, I thought it was still a good game, even though it was a blowout in the end, a nilling. I still thought it was a good game. It was the same story as that Saints match, really, but obviously to a much higher degree, where Hull looked to be doing everything right and putting up a good show and putting up a good fight. But if you zoom out, you're like, wait a minute, they're on their own try line already. What's going on? How did they get there? They were doing everything right. And it was just inch by inch by inch by inch by inch. That wall of black and white is going back as a wall. Like the cohesion was still there. It's just they're just not keeping him at bay. The other side of that is that Leeds were fantastic. They were pulling things off that were probably too dangerous to attempt in the first place. And there's two examples of that. One is Jake Connor's try. He's got the intercept that he got. That was the deepest intercept I've ever seen. I feel like he was wearing a Hull shirt when he pulled that off. He must have been, because how the hell did he pull off that intercept? The speed, the insight, the skill it took to do, and he got away for the try there because no one was expecting it. No one was expecting that. It was really dangerous to attempt because he left a huge hole, but he fucking got it, didn't he? And he ended up over the try line. The Watkins scoop as well. Watkins' try was amazing, and Callum Watkins at the minute he's a bit unfair. He went over to Leeds mid-season. He's wearing them. Well, he's technically he's playing second row loose, right? But everything that Leeds practiced before the season with somebody else in that position, he didn't get, did he? He wasn't in the pre-season, so he didn't get those memos at the time. So what he's done basically is he's just said, listen, I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm not going to mess with what you're doing. I'm just going to be Callum Watkins. That's what position I'm going to play, is Callum Watkins. So if there's a loose ball to scoop up, like in this game, yes, I'll do it. If there's a massive tackle to be made, yes, I'll do it. Now, my position might not ask for that, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm playing Callum Watkins. That's the shirt number I've got on. He's not fair. He's doing so well. Like it's an unfair advantage to have. I think the only bad game he's had was at St Helens when he just couldn't seem to hold on to the ball. And again, I was there for that one, and it was a poor show all round, so you can't really hold him against it. Other than that, Watkins, Connor, for me, just absolutely fantastic all season. What I will say for Hull FC, like I said, they were doing everything right. They were just getting outclassed, really, weren't they? Hardacre is playing out of his skin at the minute. I think he's played 5 different positions this year now. He seems to have settled in at that role in fullback. I heard someone say what went wrong for Hull is that you can only play Zach Hardacre in one position at a time. And yeah, that's what it came down to for Hull. Is they've lost people, they've got people playing that, like, you know, the try scoring expert Lewis Martin. He kind of pulled the pin out of the grenade a little bit early. I think he went a bit too intense during a period of intensity. What he should have done is pulled back a little bit and played later on. But look, 34-0 Leeds Hull FC. That could be Hull FC's playoff hopes over. I hope not. Like, I think both them and Wake, everyone deserves to be in it because everyone's played well, but there's only 6 spots. All right, Saturday evening. Ooh, Wakefield. Huddersfield visit Wakefield at the Fortress. That is the DIY Kitchen Stadium. I hate that name, and I'm sure they do too. I heard someone call it the DIYK the other day, and I think that is we should probably stick to that, DIYK. I like that. What I'm going to point out here is, I mean, the score tells itself, right? 48-2. Yeah, great. Look at the stats. Almost twice as many meters. Huddersfield missed twice as many tackles. Offload's about the same, but look, just what Wakefield were doing, what we've come to expect them to do. It was a bit of a bad day, a bad weather day. Sorry, you could have forgiven them for holding on to it a little bit more, being a bit more conservative, but nah, they weren't, were they? I was glad to see Josh Rourke get a go here because I was quite dismissive of Jowett last week because he had a bad game. And he's not a bad player, of course. He just had a bad game. But I was glad to see Rourke get a go, and he played fantastically, like he can do, like we all know that he can do. Look, there's not a lot to say about this game, I don't think. It was Wakefield doing a Wakefield. Absolutely great stuff. Everybody on the game. One person I'll point out particularly is Caius Fartelli. Like, I fucking love that guy. He scored a try on about 10 minutes, I think, and he looks like a wardrobe running down the pitch with its doors open. Like in any kind of grappling sport or rugby where leverage is key, where your limbs are a danger. You sort of most people run in, ball elbows tucked, ball tucked. Yeah, you'll get a handoff every once in a while, but Fartelli just throws all that in the bin, and he'll run in with his arms flailing, his knees are out, his feet are kicking around, and they still can't get him down. And I just love it. It's like watching, it's like basically watching the kid under 12s that hit puberty before everybody else. He's just bigger, faster, stronger, more striking than the rest of the players on the field. So good on you. 48-2. Good show from Wakefield. Got a couple of roughies coming up for the Trin, but I'm really enjoying this this race for number 6 between them and Hull FC. Who'll win? Don't know. Let's find out. Okay. Closing up the round, Catalans versus Wigan in Perpignan, the last game of the season over there in France, and you could tell that the Catalans players seemed to be a little bit lifted by that. I thought GAB particularly really wanted to pull something off. He was really, really trying, wasn't he, in defence and attack. He had that run down the middle where he basically just skinned Wigan. If it wasn't for Jay Field being the fastest player in the league, he'd have scored an absolutely blinding try with his nose full of like cotton wool or whatever it was, bloodied up, nose full of paper or whatever it was. So good on GAB, and the Catalans kind of raised their game a little bit here. I think the thing here for Catalans was it didn't have to be this bad. 40 points to 0. At least 3 of those tries came because Kotrick was just out of position. I mentioned GAB just a second ago. He was making most of the tackles on that wing because Kotrick was like right in the middle. And in a defensive set, you need your winger on the wing because that's where the fast stuff happens. You need to match skill with skill there. And he just wasn't there. And in fact, the try they scored on 80 minutes, that Marshall scored in 80 minutes, which is always fun, isn't it, to see that happen. You could even see Cesar Rouget, I think it was, chasing him down the sideline, just looking at Kotrick like, where are you? What are you doing? Why are you over there? So, he kind of messed that up for them. But there was little they could have done, to be honest, against this Wigan side. You've got French and Field back at it. They're back in contention. Liam Marshall was on his game. Junior December was toying with them, really. I mean, that first try they scored where December sort of did the basketball pass over the top. They couldn't fight that, if we're honest. I mean, the highlight of the game for me, I think, is when Bevan French kicked the ball. Let's see if I've got the timestamp here. 44 minutes. That kick defied physics. It just completely went the other way that everyone thought it was going to. But French seems to he does these things that we can all do by accident, but we can't do them on purpose 10 times a game and have all the other players around you pick up on it and score tries from it. It's not felt like the back in action. The old French Field crew are back in action. A question I've got, though, because this was the best I've seen Field play in a long time, and he's been there. He's basically played every game, I think, Field, through French's injury. What does he do without French? Why doesn't he? Because not everything comes off French for Field. Some of the stuff is just him solo efforts. So why doesn't he do that as much when French is off the field? God, this is a minefield, isn't it? Interesting, right? We're going to back. They'll probably go second. They'll probably win the whole thing. Let's wait and see. Weird, isn't it, that on Saturday we had a 0, a 2, and a 4 points. If we'd had one more game, they probably would have scored 6. All right. So those are your scores. I think probably everyone won that was supposed to win, except for Salford, who, defied the odds. What does that do to the league table? A lot of colours here this week. So Saints drop to 5th. I'll change this table. Saints drop to 5th. Hull FC drop to 7. Leeds up in 3rd. Leigh on 4th. It's still all to play for, isn't it? We're all just trying to get that home field advantage in the playoffs. I think Saints' hopes are second. I kind of said a couple of weeks ago that Saints were going to finish second. That's probably not going to happen now. I feel pretty confident in saying that. But Leeds could. Leigh could. You get a rough bounce of the ball. Everyone is playing everyone in the coming weeks in the top 6. So it's good couple of weeks of rugger coming up there. All right. Personal accolades. Jake Connor takes top point scorer away from Max Jowett, who obviously wasn't playing. He'd have still been up there, I think. He probably could have broke 200 points, Max Jowett, if they'd have played that Salford game. But they didn't. Lewis Martin, try scoring expert, even though he didn't score any points this weekend, still there in the top 10. Good on you, Lewis Martin. Try scorers. Martin's still up at the top. Field coming back into it. Like I said, he's had a couple of weeks off there, hasn't he, really, Field? But he's coming up. The rest of it is as you would expect. Mikey Lewis still hanging around. Kyle Felt, injured this week, whatever. Sailor, yeah. Deceptive, isn't it? Those Saints players in there. I wonder how they'll do coming up. Anyway, that was the round 24, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, whenever it is, for my predictions for Rivals Round again. round 25. So enjoy your week, and I'll see you then.